Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by The Plain Truth.
Hello, hello, hello. What?
Ranty Flat Earth.
Howdo.
Sleeping Warrior.
Hola.
Chocolate saying.
Yo, yo.
And Arwin. Big shout out to Joey Slive for the super chat. How are you all doing?
Good.
Is Arwin here?
Yeah,
Yes.
I am. But Nathan decided to start talking before I could say hello.
Yeah. He's so hard. He's bullying you at the minute, isn't he, Arwin?
Oh, here we go.
Well, you do like to angrily interrupt me whenever I'm interrupting somebody.
That's not true.
Yes, whenever you're interrupting somebody, I do tend to interrupt you,
Arwin!
That's true.
That was a
That's
pretty
true.
good. That was a pretty good Nathan right there.
It was.
Yeah, I gotta... I heard it a lot, so now I can mimic it.
Maybe
You're on
not.
fire today, Arwin.
Don't make the elf angry.
Magic.
I think me and Plain are the only Americans on the panel right now, but happy 4th to all the Americans out there.
Happy what?
Okay. 4th of July.
Oh, right, of course. 4th of July. Is that important?
In America, it's kind of a thing.
I'm joking. Happy 4th of July to you too.
Have you seen Eric Dubé's latest video?
I haven't, but you told me about what the contents was, and he hasn't changed his position in this regard to the stars, so I'm going to say no, but yeah.
Eric Dubé's latest video is probably the most confusing video that I've seen. And I have to question why it's out there, because there is evidence to the contrary of what he's saying, and I don't know what's true. Dubé's position is that all the stars rise east to west, which I agree with, but he denounces and rejects the idea that there is an apparent rotation point in the south, which we do seem to see evidence of. He denounces and rejects that there is one, and I don't know, is it disinformation, is it misinformation, or is it actually true? There does seem to be evidence that we do see a rotation point in the south, but he outright denies that. So
Have you seen the rotation yourself in the south? Or where do
I've
you
seen
get the
enough evidence
information
to
from?
suggest that there is something there, because sometimes it looks circular, sometimes it looks egg-shaped.
Who's
Other times
provided this information?
I have no way to confirm any of it.
Let me guess. Ballers.
I've seen it. Well, ballers.
Hold on. Are you trying to deny this, Ranty? Are you trying to say that there isn't a celestial?
No, I'm
point?
saying that if we had it from a verified source, somebody that we trusted. But I'm sorry, but I don't trust these ballers as far as I can throw them.
I know, but there is evidence against this Eric Dubé's position on that current video, and I'm not saying it's strong, right, or good, strong, or whatever. All I'm saying is that there are two opposing positions, and in his video, he doesn't produce any evidence other than an animation, and it just confuses me, because I've been on the scene long enough to realise that there is evidence that supports the rotation point in the south. Doesn't mean it is there, but the burden still lies with the ballers to produce evidence that in the south, two observers see the same stars at the same time, and obviously that evidence is still missing. But nonetheless, his Dubé's position is that there are no stars rotating around a celestial point in the south. That doesn't appear to be true.
I'd still have to confirm that myself. It's hearsay, you know. Lots of, well, at least the Globers all say it's there. Uh, yeah, there's only
See, the
one
flat
way to
earthers-
confirm, and that's to go there myself, all
Plenty
the
of
way
flat
to the
earthers that
southern tip of Argentina, get a
Well,
good camera, and
say your
then at
favourite word.
night see the stars and how it moves. And yeah,
Say your favourite word, Arwin. Solipsism.
no, I don't think that's the case. I think convolution is more the case when it comes to Eric DeBay.
But
Yeah, he mixes
Sol-
up a lot of stuff.
so anyway, Ranty, do you want to make your presentation on what you've got?
Oh, I haven't put anything together yet. I thought we were just going to talk about it, or do you want to show a couple of things, or?
I don't know. I just know that you wanted to. I thought you wanted to make like show something. I don't know.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I wanted to talk about optical compression. You know, we were talking about this off air before we started, and we've decided to give it a term, something that we can all relate to and talk about, and use this term to explain what we see in a particular observation on certain days, and that would be optical compression. Sorry?
I quite like dirty air, to be honest, because it's
Dirty
nondescript.
Yeah, especially with that accent of yours. It's lovely.
Dirty air, yeah.
But the problem is with dirty air, we get different kinds of phenomena. We get miraging. We get apparent looming, which isn't looming. It's just reflections of the sky underneath the object that you're looking at. So there's all different kinds of stuff that we see in that dirty air. But to nail it down to a certain phenomena that we actually see and can measure and analyze, optical compression for this type of observation, I think, you know, with the boats compressing at the bottom but holding the length.
I think the most important thing is that we point out many times that when we see that compression on boats at the bottom, that's what ballers will blink test a full boat over the top of that and claim curvature. Because that's for me the biggest point. What we call it is kind of like, I don't know. It doesn't. I don't suppose it really matters what we call it. If we call it anything at all, just point out that boats are not going over no curve.
Can you stop touching your mic?
Sorry. Hands are off it.
It's that I don't know what it is about that particular microphone that you just like to fiddle with it, but it's all we can hear.
It's got a screw stand, and I just like to flick it like a propeller on a plane and spin it around, and I don't realise it makes any noise.
Keep your hands
It's a
above the sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, stop doing it. It's annoying.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about, isn't it? This the compression zone. I've put the compression zone here, but I think to title it something different will be optical compression. Oh, and I think you're correct in that. I was going to call it refraction compression, but I think optical compression is probably the right thing to use with this.
Agreed. I think that optical compression is the correct terminology to describe that phenomena, that specific type of phenomena.
See, you would call it in this, is it a slant zone, you would say?
No, it's beyond the slant. The slant is the field of view narrowing down in the foreground. Basically, that is what is obstructing that is what causing the slant. It's the obstruction in the foreground when the field of view can't narrow down any further. Then beyond that, the miraging zone starts, where all these optical phenomena, including optical compression, is present. And then later, beyond that, there is obstruction due to lack of air clarity, which makes everything non-visible beyond a certain point. So the slant is basically in the foreground when the field of view can't narrow down any further. And beyond that, all the miraging and the optical compression and all of that. And then the lack of air clarity obstructing it completely.
What do you say, Anthony? Because obviously we're seeing the hull of the boat, this orange band that runs underneath the wording Stena line. It's evident in the two top images. Obviously the bottom image is from a much higher elevation, showing all of the boat. This again is showing all of the boat. It's just compressed. Would you not agree? Holding the length.
I agree it's compressed, but my query is, what is the cause? Is it refractive or optical? Or is it actually the fact that we live on a flat plane and everything that has to go towards the distance has to squash from the bottom up? Because you see it with the perspective. You just type in perspective in Google and then click images. Everything goes to the horizon. And when it goes to the horizon, everything appears to get smaller. And it's that appearing to get smaller. What you're talking about there could be perceived as a vertical compression that's going towards the horizon caused by living on a flat plane. And it is a prerequisite of living on a plane. What we're seeing is consistent with living on a plane. So is it optical or refractive, or is it because we live on a plane that we're seeing it, and that is the proof?
Can I try and answer that? So I think it is definitely optical as opposed to, I mean, they're both optical anyway, but you know what I mean? I don't think it's something having a change of angle. I think it is just a narrow angle. So what you're seeing is the very, very narrow angle to the bottom of that boat. So it's beyond, as Alwyn puts it, that slant. And once you get beyond that point, anything in that very tight, narrow field is going to get more and more compressed, as Ranty shows with, I think it's the top image, where the top is uncompressed, but the bottom is squashed. There we go. He's pointing at it now.
Yeah, it's this, so basically this crop out here was from this middle image. And when we compare the crop out with the boat that's out of the refraction zone here, it's pretty much identical. There's no compression going on it. It's the same height, it's the same width, everything's identical. It's only the hull of the boat that's being compressed. The width of the boat, you know, lengthways and everything, it's the same. But I think it's about 70%. It's lost 70% of its height in this band here. So these letterings on the stena line are 70%, sorry, 30% of the real height of the real ones here. So that's a lot of compression over a relatively short distance. I think it was about 7.2 miles or so. So
Right.
Imagine what the compression would be over, you know, 10 miles.
I'd also like to note in this particular example you're giving that the compression is not the only effect that is happening, because if you look at the contours of the ship, it's wobbling all over the place. So there seems to be all this distortion, wobbling the image around, very similar to what you see with land miraging. Remember, when a heat wave is in front of something, it looks very similar, almost to the top of the boat in the first two images. The bottom one, it's not really present at all.
Well, what's really good about this particular boat to actually analyze is the fact that if you look at the bottom one, this bottom part here, there is no other orange on the boat apart from on the bow, right at the hull here. That's the only orange on it. Mm-hmm. There's no orange above the stena line, so it can't be miraging. This orange that's seen under the stena line here cannot be anything other than the bottom of the boat. It can't be. It has to be the bottom of the boat that we're seeing. And this was taken from a video, so we clearly saw it in the video. So that says that we're seeing all of this boat. All of it is visible, but it's just compressed. So like Anthony said, the ballers would overlay this image over this image, and it would match up, you know, the top of it would match up, so it would look the same. And then there'd be clear, it would look as if there's part of the bottom of the boat missing. And they would say, there you go, it's gone over the curvature of the earth. But as with this particular image, is very good in saying, look, we are seeing to the bottom of the boat because we've got this orange band that runs underneath. Now, these blink test things that they do, generally they're not as fortunate as I am to have this nice orange band running under this particular boat. So if it was all blue, it would just look like it's gone over the curve, because you wouldn't have this orange to compare. It would be blue, so it would all look the same. And this is why these observations of this particular boat is really useful for us going forward to talk about this optical compression that we're seeing.
Agreed. And but now that I'm looking at these letters and the orange line, I'm also thinking that maybe because we're basically looking straight at it, like straight parallel to the water line, because it is obviously beyond the slant zone, that maybe there does seem to be a couple of waves happening right there, because it is kind of bouncing up and down a bit. Maybe some of this orange is even being seen through the waves, like almost like it's being reflected from within the water. It's very hard to tell, but that's just what I'm thinking of when I'm looking at it. You could be looking basically through the water and seeing the orange being reflected from within it.
Well, on these days, on all of these observations, there was hardly any swell on the water at all. So I don't know if that would be.
Of course, but the boat, of course, as it is moving, will create ripples.
Right.
You do agree to that, right?
Yes.
So there should be some ripples right beside it, and they can be also a source of reflection from within.
Okay.
But it's speculative, but it's just what it's reminding me of when I'm looking at it.
Have you got anything to say, Anthony?
Anthony, was this the first boat that you got that had words across the bottom that you could read? You got?
There is another image of another boat. I can show you that one. It's this sea truck one.
I think the fact that you could still read the words, like even after they're so compressed, like.
Well,
it's crazy.
This particular one is the one that I'm talking about when I say that if you did a blink test over this one, it would claim that, you know, half of the actual hull was missing, right? And that's because it's all one color. It doesn't have an orange bottom on it, so it's not like you could say, you know, you wouldn't see it reflected here because it would be reflecting the same color. So if they did a blink test on this boat, right, then they could claim that it was somewhat of curvature, but you can see all the wording on the sea truck, but it's basically it's the same length, right? But then if you look at the actual height of the lettering on the sea truck and you compare it, it's half the size. So if you look at my cursor, for instance, my cursor is the height of the wording on the top image, and then when I lower it to the bottom image, it's only the wording's half the size. So that proves that this is being compressed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yes.
Awesome. So I was like, wow, because the fact that on the center line you could still read it even after being so compressed like that.
But this boat must be very far away in the upper part because even the top part seems to be slightly compressed.
Yeah, this one was about 9.3 miles away, this one. So it was a good couple of miles further away than the other one at this time.
It just totally destroys any argument of that it's behind a curve, like it's behind a ball. It's
everything destroys that.
Yeah, I know, but like it's just another thing that's just like done for you guys. It's crazy.
Yeah, this is for me anyway. This is the you know, there's always the boats going over the horizon. You know, we had answers for it, but there was never really something we could nail to it and say, well, this is what we're seeing, this is what we can say. It's actually happening. So this is clearly one aspect of on certain days that you see a boat going over the horizon. This is something that could well be happening. The bottom of the hull is being compressed, which makes it appear like it's going over the horizon.
Yep.
You know, and as the boat moves further and further away, more of the boat will get into a narrower and narrower angle, forcing that optical compression even more.
So it looks like a straight white line, probably.
Yeah, so it's just blended into nothing.
It disappears. Yeah.
I have a feeling this is what's happening on the wind turbines as well. I feel that if you think that this was a wind turbine, and like you see, you've got the blades in the background here, and then you've got the stem. So if this part of this wind turbine was the blades, say here, and then the lower part of this part here was in the stem, then the stem would be optically compressed, essentially bringing down the height of the blade towards the water.
Ranty.
That's why compression.
Yeah.
Can
those
you,
other pictures.
any chance, just so we can transition to Anthony with a really nice picture that you showed me? Do you know the picture that you sent me and I said that's fantastic? Is there any chance you can dig that out just so we can? It's just a very useful picture to transition across to what Anthony's about to talk about.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. I was going to ask, could you get up one of those really clear pictures of the church and that Barrow shoreline?
Yeah, do you want me to do
that too?
I'm
talking about something. I'm actually talking about something different, Anthony. But yes, that too. If you can dig out the picture of Barrow with the church and the boat, also. But initially, before we transition to Anthony, if you can just dig out the one that you sent me yesterday.
Ah, right. Okay. So yeah, I know where that is. Just bear with me. Let me find it. That will be. So that'll be this one. So let me share my screens again. Right. So that will be this one.
Excellent. So tell us about this.
But see here, just to emphasize, there is no compression at this specific. There is the clear reflection. So that is, and yet again, unpredictable. It doesn't always seem to be compressing in that manner as the other boat photographs that you took.
Yes, you're right. You're completely right. It's what I've said.
It's very, very odd. It looks so different.
Can you zoom in a couple of notches, Ranty, and then we'll move over to Anthony unless there's anything else you want to add?
No. This is fine. If you just want me, do you want me to leave this image up, or
yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to wait for Anthony to get his screen ready, and then I mean I think this image speaks for itself, really.
Well, I'm ready.
Okay, then, once you've got your picture up, I'll put you on, Anthony.
Hang on, it's that one.
Yeah.
Right, go on, fire away.
Can you make it full screen? Off you go. You have. Brilliant. Off you go.
Right, so I've literally just put a video up.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hola.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
What's up, Mark?
I've literally just uploaded a video entitled, "Will the real looming please stand up?" Now, what I want you to do is picture back to all of the pictures that Ranty has showed of the Barrow shoreline with the church and the buildings and all that, none of which should be seen, and Ruhif et al., Ruhif and all his little mates, all explain this away, explain but not prove, explain that it's all loomed up from behind the curvature of the Earth. Now, even if we accept that looming is a thing, you've still got to show that there's a curve for it to be loomed up, because looming can still work on a flat plane, and does work on a flat plane. So what I realised last night whilst the football was on, I went out and took some really bizarre observations. And I don't know whether this actually is looming, but I'm going to say that it is, because I don't think it's other things. So by process of elimination, I think this is looming rather than anything else. But this is looking at Isle of Man again, from basically right near where we're stopping at the minute. It's not on the beach, it's higher up. Just looked out the window and I saw this and I was like, what the hell? Grabbed the camera and this is what I'm looking at. And normally this land normally drops down straight into the water, and then there's a gap of water here. But for some reason, there's this layer of what looks like land floating across the whole expanse of water. But then we get to the other side where floaty land is. And for some reason, the hard horizon is the lower line. But for some reason, the actual horizon seems to be presenting itself above it, just the way that they would describe looming. But if this really is looming the way that they describe, then it seems to be overlaying whatever's in the foreground. In other words, in this case, sky. So if Ranty's position with all the shoreline of Barrow is looming, A, it would look like something like this. B, it would be blatantly obvious that it's an optical effect. And C, in the absence of something telling you that this is some kind of mirage, what kind of mirage is this? Because there is no land here, and there's no inversion of the land below this bit here. Normally, if you have a Fata Morgana, you would have the land that's on the top would be on the bottom, and then it would be inverted above it, upside down. Well, we're not seeing that, so it's not a Fata Morgana. It's not a superior mirage because there's nothing here at the bottom to be miraging. We just see it on the top. It's not an inferior mirage. So what else are we left with? We have a Fata Bramosa. It's not one of them.
I
So
know
what's
what it
going
is.
on here? I don't know what we're looking at, but this appears to be what they would call looming. But if it is looming, then this is the way it should look, and it would overlay in the sky the way that this is doing now. But I don't know, is this really looming? What do you think, guys?
I know what it is, Anthony.
Go on.
It's the bulge. Sorry.
Maybe it is.
Joking
No,
aside,
of course it's not.
when it comes to the bit like this at the end, where it just ends like that, you can see clearly what's going on. Obviously, we have the horizon below and the land below being projected up upon itself, which is exactly as they describe the normal world to look. Now, when you get to the actual Isle of Man, you can see how the Isle of Man tapers off. It's probably going back the other way, Anthony, at the beginning of the footage.
So 116 is where we need it. There we go.
So here you go. If you follow the lie of the land down to what we used to call the nose cone, after the nose cone, you can see there. We can see the effect that's happening. You can see where the horizon is and what has been created above it. So this is because of the extreme heat differential that they claim is happening. I'm going to change your image. Keep it on screen, Anthony, but I'm just going to put Ranty's picture of the clock tower with the boat. So this is what they tell us is a looming mirage. So the boat and the clock, they're apparently all looming. And Anthony is asserting that what we see here is not a mirage. We just see the buildings because we can see them, simple as. Whereas when you do have a massive heat differential, I'll put your screen back up, Anthony, this is what you get. You get this. This is what we would assert is actually looming.
Yeah. And the conclusion of this whole video is wrapped up nicely here. Because once I get to this point, I freeze frame it. And basically I say, this line here is not the actual horizon. This is not the position that the horizon should be in. The horizon should be here. For some reason, it's loomed up. So the horizon should appear below this other line, which is there. It should be here, but there is no horizon here for some reason. Don't know why. But it's also the absence of an inverted horizon in the middle. That means that it can't be a Fata Morgana. It's not a Superior. It's not a Fata Brumosa. So we're only left with looming. It's not towering because there's no stretching. So we're only left with looming, and I think this is what looming really is. But if it is looming, it overlays on top of. It doesn't bring things back from behind no curve. It's an overlay on top of it that creates an artificial horizon that clearly shouldn't be there, because this horizon all should be on the lower line. So I think this is what real looming is. And I just don't accept that it bends back from behind any curve. Because even if this is their claim, saying, no, look, there's looming, you've still got to show that this is being loomed from behind some curve. But this, to me, works perfectly on a flat. That's my interpretation of what I'm looking at, anyway.
If it was caused by curve,
Superb, both Ranty and Anthony. Well done, both.
It would be happening all over the place all the time.
I just want to say big kudos to Ranty and Anthony because superb captures in both instances. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to move on to my second point now, which is minimize that, minimize the chat. Last night, whilst the penalties were on, or whilst we were in extra time, in the England match, I went down to the beach to see what could be seen because I thought, hang on, mute that, because I wanted to see what could be seen, and I didn't really want to watch the extra time because extra time bores me, and basically what I was able to do was, if I make this bigger, I was able to go. Bear in mind that Sly Sparkane asked me to go back or challenged me to go back and get floaty land from the beach. Now, I've already been back and got it once before, and I've seen it a few times before in different weather conditions. I'm setting my camera up at this point, so just bear with me while it's a bit jerky. But what I'm looking for here is floaty land. But what I inadvertently find is that the land at Ramsey, which is only like 70 feet high, I get that as well. And Sly says, well, where's Ramsey? Where's Ramsey? And I wasn't expecting to get that, but I wanted to validate my previous observation, which was the floaty land from the beach. Look how flat the water is. There's hardly a ripple tide anywhere. So I'm looking for the floaty land. Cutting a long story short, if I go back to this part here, I'm looking for the land, but I find that there's the floaty land that I can see. But I also find by the end of the clip that I'm seeing Ramsey as well in the middle, the gap in the middle. And that Ramsey really shouldn't exist. This is where I get to Ramsey. So there's Ramsey. So Ramsey's this little slither on the horizon here, which is 70 feet tall. This is 34 miles away. And here is the floaty land that I was looking for. But there's floaty land. So everything that was to the left there is Ramsey. Now it's only 70 foot high. So it's like, wow, we're seeing pretty much down to the beach there, but for this little bit of distortion on the horizon, we're seeing Ramsey. And Sly used to say to me, like, yeah, but you can't see Ramsey, Riley. Where is it? And my position was, well, it's the waves that's obscuring it. And now we can see Ramsey. It was just a clear day, and it was just better wave conditions, and we can see it. And this is all from the beach at the sand level. And it's incredible. This is literally rendering and processing now on my channel. This is the raw footage, no filters on it, nothing. But we see Ramsey from the beach, and it's 34 miles away. Observe a height of about 10 feet above the actual water, and we see Ramsey, and it should never be seen. It should be like 650, 700 feet behind the curve of the earth. There should be a wall of water between us and it that's like 190 feet or whatever it is, and we can see it. So I'm going to be ramming this down Sly's throat, and if he doesn't admit and concede, the guy's just a dishonest piece of curvature.
Well, you're quite lucky because you've got St. Bees that you can go to, but you've also got an excellent observational point from Hoy Lake. I've just been looking through some of the old footage that we did from there, and it was only my like 70th video that I'd used with the camera. It's all over the place, but there is an actual excellent observation from there that you could go and repeat this as many times as you want, and I am positive you would see this all the time. Would you mind sharing my screen, Nate?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
and you should really go down and do this because it's absolutely sensational. This was a distance of almost 30 miles away, and we're going to look at something called the Lighthouse, and it's on it's Llandudno. Do you know, what's that big mound called, Anthony, in Wales?
Is it Puffin Island?
No. It's can't remember what it's called now. Anthony, you're gonna have to. Are you there, Anthony?
I think he's probably on a call or something. But
Gone,
carry on and he'll come back to you.
Okay, but he can get this observation all the time. I'm going to show you this lighthouse. It's actually like a hotel on the side of the hill. This guy was in the way. It really annoyed me that he was obstructing my view. But essentially, this is from the beach. It should be 500 feet beyond the curve of the earth, and this hotel is situated about 220 feet up on the side of the cliff. So we're just coming to it now, and there it is. See that building there? There's a building right here. That is called the Lighthouse. It's in Llandudno in Wales, and it's 220 feet up the cliff. Now the curve calcs say 500 feet should be missing, which is nonsense really, because we are seeing that building clear as you like. Now, this was filmed, when was this filmed? This was filmed last year, last April or May, something like that. I overlooked this observation, but clearly we have it there. And Anthony can go all the time and he can be saying, where's the curve? Where's the curve? Because this is from ground, this is off the beach at the side of the lifeboat station. I mean, it's actually undeniable what it is we're looking at.
Can you give us
the name of this?
Can you give us the Google Earth view of that?
Sure, yeah, I can actually. I might even have. Did I have it? No, I did have an image where I'd compared them already, but let me get the Google Earth up and I'll show you.
Oh, look, it's a globe.
So, yeah, I've actually got the line of sight actually in here. So this is where I did the observation from Hoy Lake down here. on this corner. It wasn't by the lifeboat station, actually. No, it was the first time we was trying to find Blackpool. It was the first observation I did from this location, and I'm just panning around. And this is where we pulled up, and I filmed it from right here. And looking right across, almost 30 miles away, right over to Llandudno here. Here we have the lighthouse, which is on the side of the hill. I can put myself there, and you'll be able to see it in a moment. Put my little man there. So there's the building. It's called the lighthouse. Hopefully I can. Yeah, the lighthouse, bed and breakfast in Llandudno. If I go down the hill, you'll probably get a line of sight, because this would have been the angle that I'd have been looking at it from. When I turn and have a look, can you see the design of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely undeniable what it is that we're looking at. We've got the.
And what's the distance from
There it
Llandudno
is.
to Hoylake?
Well, I can put those in now. I'll show you right now. So
It's
if
even,
I
it's
put,
even got the little house above it, Ranty. Did you notice that in the picture? There's a little house, and then that's there too in your picture.
yeah, this one.
Yeah, it's just above it.
Yeah. But Anthony lives right near to this. He can see this all the time. He could go there and he could look at this all day long. So we're coming down here. So 28.5 miles.
Excellent.
So if he wants to go down there and do this kind of observation, he's got absolute brilliant flat earth proof here that he can do this all the time. Side of the wind turbines, up the side of this hill. I can't remember what it's called though. He'd know. And there it is, right on the edge. Called the lighthouse.
Can you zoom out again? Just let's see what's beyond that Llandudno Peninsula.
Well, you realise all this land here that I actually scanned through. I see floor to floor the whole way, and it's down to like 60 feet.
Yeah.
You know, elevation. It's just a few meters. You know.
Incredible. Just scan out. So let's see angle. See. Just to get our bearings. Oh wow. That's incredible.
Just while you've got it on screen, Ranty, can you zoom right out? Can you zoom right out so we can see it in context to the UK? That's great.
I can just
That's great.
run across through there. But yeah, I mean, he can go to this location in Liverpool all day, park up, go to this corner here, look across, see that on the hill. I mean, it's so obvious. And I nearly discarded this.
Hi, Milo.
Hello.
Can I just say, Ranty, it's an hour's drive. That's not that easy for me to get to.
All right, okay, but still, it's gettable. I mean, this is when I'm zooming in here. This is the elevations of this land that we come to here it's about 100 feet. It should be 500 feet beyond the curve. All this land is just ridiculous. How we overlooked this at the time. I think it was because my camera is all over the place and it's cockeyed. I've probably not improved that much, to be fair.
Sandy's your friend when it comes to getting stabilized imagery.
Well, there we go. There's the lighthouse. There's another house on the hill. And of course, pan across to the wind turbine. So yeah, it's something that is doable.
So this is where the conversation goes down the pan quickly.
Hey, Jose.
Yo.
Morning, Milo.
Puerto Rico. Shout out to legendary Sublumin Perspective Enigma Hyena in the chat.
I did some nighttime photography from a different location of Barrow in Furness as well. Saw the lighthouse, etc. The problem was we should have seen it from that elevation, unfortunately. But still, I still went and did the observation. There's the church. There's the tower. Barrow and Furness.
Can you zoom in a couple of notches just so it fills the screen nicely?
I've got a nice wide shot as well, actually, of with the lighthouse flashing as well. Let me see if I can find that image. I think it's that one here. No. I'll flick through them all till I find it. There's the lighthouse on the left. There's main buildings in Barrow. There's the lighthouse flashing. And yeah, you can get an idea of what the land looks like now. It's different. Obviously, it's a side view now. This is like a 90 degree as well to the side as opposed to looking down the other way. But I think what we're showing is that it's pretty flat where we live. Wouldn't you agree, Anthony?
There's no curvature. The only obstruction we see is atmospheric or optical. Anybody claiming that any curvature, any obstruction is curvature is a moron.
It was a pretty decent observation I did yesterday.
I think the only obstruction that these ballers really get to see is mental obstruction.
Like an invisible boat. Looks like the sky is being barraged onto the boat. The same colour. And this is the, I think it's the sea truck one, this.
Randy, I have a question.
Sure.
These wind turbines in the background, are they appearing to be below the horizon because of refraction or because of perspective? I'm trying to get clear on what your position is.
Perspective. They're behind the
I
slant.
think it's optical compression, yeah. That's what we've been starting to talk about today, this optical compression that we see.
So if you had a drone on that day and you were to, so that middle piece of the wind turbine, how tall is that? The point where the turbines spin. I think you have your, yeah,
oh,
you have
the hub.
Yeah.
They're all different sizes, but essentially, if you worked on, say, 90 meters to the hub, and the blades would be 60 meters, it's generally the blades are 2/3 the size up to the hub. So that would leave a clearance of approximately 30 meters to the actual floor, sort of thing, the top of the water.
So these wind turbines are all different sizes?
Different, yeah, they're from different fields.
Models?
So different fields. So they have different models, different makes.
Okay. Oh, so I was gonna say, if you had a drone or something, and you were to raise that drone to the elevation of the hub, would all the hubs line up?
I could show you an image of that I actually took.
I've got the one where you're looking down the line of them now. If you click on my icon, Milo.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like if you were to raise your elevation on this image, would you be able to see a flat, like all of them at the same size?
Well, how's that for it? How's that?
Sorry, can I just answer Milo? Well, no, because they're getting smaller as they get further away. This is called perspective. The problem we're highlighting at the moment, Milo, is that when you calculate how much drop there should be for each of these wind turbines in the picture right now, the calculator says that it conforms perfectly with the spherical Earth. Even though it's ignoring perspective in the calculation, it says that these match perfectly and mathematically with how much you would expect them to drop based on them being built on a sphere Earth. However, there is perspective also. They are falling away with perspective, getting smaller with distance. So this is a very real problem. You can't have them getting smaller with distance and being ignored and then that ignorance leading you to say that it's actually falling over the curve of the Earth, especially when you go to the side elevation and it demonstrates unequivocally that they're not falling over any curve, they're built perfectly flat. So that's a very real problem, because you exclude perspective from the calculations for a sphere Earth.
Nathan, I think you misunderstood his question.
Can I correct you? Yeah. All right. I think Armin knows what I'm talking about.
No, what he asked is if the observer height would be exactly the same as the turbine height, would they be on the same line? And the answer is yes.
No,
unless
it's not yes.
They are.
That's wrong.
They will be.
No, only if you angle the camera down. So if you wanted to see...
No. Angle it straight towards it. Then they would be at the exact same height. If you got up to the same height as this first turbine and pointed your camera straight out, you would still see them falling away in line with perspective if you were 90 degrees to the first turbine. In the same way, if you were to climb up one of the telegraph poles, let's say in Ranty's picture with all the telegraph poles, if you climbed up one of those, I don't know if you can grab that, Ranty, with the the street lamps.
Yeah.
Sorry to be a pain in the ass. But if you were to climb on top of the first street lamp and assume that it's perfectly level, so the top of it is perfectly flat, 90 degrees to the next one, and so on and so forth, and you just popped your camera on it, assuming that your camera had a perfectly flat bottom and meant that it was perfectly level transit when you popped it on top of the first, you would see all of them falling away with perspective. However, if you angled the camera down, you would then see them all in a line as they fell away. You just have to angle your camera down to bring it in line with the perspective that you see falling away if you were 90 degrees to it.
No, I think Arwen was right. I don't think you could show me an example of that.
I just did. What was on screen was items in the near foreground being larger than items in the distance because they're falling away with perspective. That's not going to change if you say 90 degrees to the observation and just look straight out ahead. You must angle your camera down in order to get the observation to fall in line with perspective.
No, but the camera height, if it were at the hub height, you would not see what you're saying right now if we were on a flat Earth.
What are you talking about? We do see what we see. Yeah? You guys claim that what we see here, right now, is curving around an Earth, and you can measure it with the amount of drop that it's subject to. But you can see right now, it's not curving. It's not bending around anything. It's completely flat. What you're seeing in the form of the close foreground, the biggest wind turbines with the red line across them, is that line that we just looked down. All that's happening is they're getting smaller with distance. All that's happening is perspective, and it follows a completely straight line, not a curve, and that's absolutely unaccounted for in the curve mathematics. So you can't have both. You can't just ignore perspective and say that the effect of things getting smaller into the distance is actually curve when you ignore perspective.
Well, Nathan, was the
camera height is not at the height of the turbines exactly.
Yeah,
it is still below it.
Doesn't make any difference.
Of course, perspective applies.
Doesn't make any difference. If you get a row of dominoes, just get a row of dominoes and just do this. It's really simple. Get a row of dominoes, line them all up, put your camera perfectly level transit to the top of those dominoes, and you will see them fall away with perspective. The only way to adjust for that is to angle your camera down.
No, I think our
I don't care what you think anymore, Milo. I'm telling you this. I'm not asking or requiring any opinions. I'm telling you, if you want to line things back up with perspective, you must angle your camera down. If you stay 90 degrees to it, you will simply see them fall away in line with perspective, i.e. get smaller with distance. But if you want to just stay on line with the top of them, you've got to angle your camera down. I'm not asking, I'm telling.
Well, I'm telling you that none of the pictures that you showed me have the camera height at the same height as the hubs.
So what? Your maths say they're falling over a curve, and you ignore perspective.
So what? So you haven't made a point.
I have. Yeah, they are definitely getting smaller with distance. Unequivocally, things get smaller with distance. Unequivocally, that picture took into account perspective when Ranty opened the shutter. That is a fact. A fact you ignore in the curve calcs. However, your curve calcs say that it's bending over a curved Earth. The difference in height, what you say is them shrinking into the horizon, is actually an effect of perspective, which you ignore and call curvature. That's a very distinct point that destroys your entire paradigm.
Arwen, can you repeat my point?
Your point is if you go 90 degrees to them and you were exactly the same height as the rotor, you would see them all in a straight line. No, you wouldn't. Perspective is a thing.
Yes, you would.
No, you would, Nathan.
Yes, you would.
No, you would not. If you were parallel to them and you had a level transit and you were looking directly at the hub, you would see them fall away. In the picture, they would get lower and lower and lower. And the only way to correct for that is to angle the camera down.
No.
Just not no. This is a fact. If you want to disprove it, go and get a row of dominoes, line them up, stick a camera 90 degrees to them, film them and watch them fall away, idiot.
Yeah, Arwen, explain why he's wrong.
It's not an explanation. I'm telling you to go and do it. Go and get some dominoes or some DVDs or something that are all equal height, line them up and put your camera 90 degrees to it and watch them fall away.
It's not
Milo.
Milo. Hold up. The camera doesn't have to be 90. It has to be 90 degrees, but it has to also be at the same height as the turbines.
Yeah, or the dominoes.
Milo.
Or the dominoes or whatever you're filming. If you just put it 90 degrees to it, i.e. have a level transit, then you will see them fall away with perspective.
Yep. You can have the camera 90 degrees and not have it at the same height as the hubs.
So what?
My thing is put the camera at the same height as the hubs so that the line of sight is parallel to the ground.
Oh.
You'll see a flat. You should see a flat line.
At eye level, yes. If it's at eye level, it'll just stay with the eye level line. If it's higher than eye level, it will appear to converge. Yes. If it's lower than eye level line, then it will appear to come up to the eye level line. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Arwen. But still, beyond a certain point, there will be miraging happening, despite all of that, and it can be unpredictable. So
let me ask the distribution of the how the object is distributed over your vision field will influence how it appears to converge in your vision field. If it's evenly distributed top to bottom of the in your vision field, then it's going to appear to go to a true vanishing point. If more of it's distributed over the top of your vision field versus the bottom, it's going to appear to set if it's too large to reach a true vanishing point.
And there's another element to it, and that is if they aren't all lined up to the exact height up to the 10th of a millimeter, and if the camera is just a 10th of a millimeter off the exact center height, then eventually the deviations will stack up cumulatively.
All right, so
unless it is absolutely perfectly to the 10th of a millimeter, all exactly the same height, and the camera is at that exact same height, the center of the lens, then there may eventually come deviations that will cause a cumulative deviation the further you go into the distance.
By cumulative deviation, Arwen, you mean that it'll appear to not converge or something, or what?
Yeah, no, he's saying that go on in a perfect straight line.
Yeah, he's saying that
it'll appear to give curvature or something, or
no, it won't even. It won't look like curvature. It might. You'll see a discrepancy. It won't be a straight line. But I understand what Arwen is saying.
Milo, can I get you to simply don't ask a question. Restate the point that you're trying to make. Just restate it in a proposition.
Well, take a drone and bring it up to the height of the hubs so that the line of sight is cutting through the middle of the hub, and you should see all the hubs line up.
Okay,
so what you're
in one plane.
What I hear you saying. Hold on.
I just want clarification, Nathan. I just want clarification real quick. So what I hear you saying is you're describing the orthographic view that we have with the red line through the hubs. So you're basically saying that.
No, this is purely about perspective. That's what he's asking. He's not involving any calculator or anything.
No, he is.
Just
he is.
Okay.
Hold on.
All right.
Plain Truth has spotted what he's
doing.
doing.
If you understand perspective, this should be actually easy.
Yeah, we understand perspective. What you're saying is if you are absolutely perfect, and it's been pointed out by Arev and Arwen, if you are even a hair off absolutely perfectly 90 degrees parallel, then it will deviate in some way or form.
Not by much.
Yeah, and it has to be.
Who cares? We're never 90 degrees to it, ever. You're not going to be perfectly in line with these with a bloody drone, are you, idiot? How are you going to get it perfectly in line with a bloody drone?
I'm still confused as to why he's making this point. Like, what point are you trying to make?
The point is, once you get this 90 degrees perfect parallel, then yes, you can replicate things in the orthographic view, which is what they do in orthographic view. They contend with everything doing that on every line, straight lines of sight to everything, because they don't account for viewing angles. They just want one line. And he's doing it with perspective by saying, actually, there's a single point, and if you're absolutely perfect 90 degrees to it, then it all falls in a line. Well, so what? You never get that view, and you cannot get that view with a bloody drone.
And Nathan, we can simplify this even further by saying it all matters. The only thing that matters is the eye level of the observer, because the light rays are going to converge based off of the eye level, straight out vision line of the observer and or the camera in this case, and that's where things are going to appear to converge at anyway. It would only stay at one height and not converge up or down if you were perfectly lined up with the eye level, if the hubs were perfectly lined up with your eye level. That's it.
But you're talking about a hypothetical situation where we get a drone, rather than just assessing the picture for what it is, and the picture has turbines falling away in the distance based on their distance, which is an effect of perspective, and you're saying, well, if we took a drone and took a picture, who gives a shit? He's not taking it with a bloody drone. He has taken it from below them because they're higher than him, and they are falling away with perspective, something your calculator has the exact same maths for, even though it excludes perspective. Well, it's not a coincidence. They've just hijacked perspective and called it curvature.
Can you see my screen?
I see it.
So this is what I'm saying. So the way you have it in your pictures, Nathan, the hubs line up like this. It'd be hard to tell if there's any...
Not at all. This isn't representative of the pictures that we present, because in this you have a perfect bottom and top with equal amounts. Well, that would say that the bottom half of this picture would represent, if you have a mountain at the midpoint going up to the very top of the frame, I'll draw it with my mouse. So if you have a mountain starting here at... What are you doing, Milo? What? Oh, right, so I want to use it, so you're going to start pissing around with it. Right, so if you've got a mountain and it's 2,000 feet in elevation, and this picture's taken from the beach, then we've got 2,000 feet represented in the top, which would have a very, 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 very tight angle of convergence, and at the bottom we've got a very wide angle of convergence because we're representing only a matter of a foot or two in the bottom half of the frame. In other words, we never ever ever get completely 90 degrees adjacent with a single line of sight. We have viewing angles, again something which is not accounted for by the calculator. What you're trying to do is force a perfect perspective view, something that is never ever achieved in any of the pictures. We have a wider field of view with the top because we're looking at 2,000 foot mountains. I'm going to put my picture on screen so you can see exactly what we're talking about. This is taken from 100 feet. Shut up. This is taken from 100 feet, and what we have in the background is a couple of 1,000 foot represented in the top half of the image. The bottom half, which is the same size, represents only 100 feet. So it looks like it's the same elevation. It isn't. But that would only be able to be accounted for if you took viewing angles into account when you calculate things. The picture which you've now taken off screen has a perfect perspective view, which isn't even a photograph, it's just a diagram, but it assumes that you've got a perfect 90-degree single viewing line between you and the target, and you don't. You have multiple different viewing angles to everything in the frame of picture, and you ignore all of it. You ignore the angular size, and you ignore the angle of attack. You ignore the whole lot, and just draw one line from observer to target. That's all you will ever do, because it maintains actual physical sizes of things, which is a concept you don't see in. So that's all the calculator has done.
Well,
no, I think Arwen has a better understanding of perspective.
Just stop telling me that Arwen's got a better understanding. Arwen understands it, I understand it, and you're a dick, right? You've just hijacked perspective. That's all you globeheads have done. You've stolen the effect of things getting smaller into the distance and called it curvature, simultaneously excluding the very thing it actually is, perspective, from the calculation completely. Now you're trying to figure a way of maintaining that single line between target and observer, and you're doing it by trying to present us a perfect 90-degree parallel to the observation with a single line. That's what your diagram was doing. That's what Sly tried to do. thinks we're stupid. You think I'm stupid. We never get that view. We've always got an angle of attack to everything in the frame, and every single item is all different. We don't have one line between target and observer. We have viewing angles.
No,
and we can simplify it even further. Well, Milo, we can simplify it even further. In your drawing, Milo, you have the observer with a perfectly distributed vision field top to bottom, but when you're low to the ground, you're going to have a higher arc on the top half of your vision field than you will at the bottom. And so
exactly. That's exactly my point. You have different viewing angles for the top, you have different viewing angles for the bottom, and it isn't the same single line between everything you view in the picture. That's just an assertion that you guys will make to keep a single line between target and observation. That's all you're ever going to do to maintain the actual size value, the feet and inches value you get from Google.
Nathan, you have to understand that if you line up your line of sight with the hub height, all the hubs should line up. There's no way around that.
Yeah, that's just your assertion that you will make continually so that you try and get us to claim that every single observation is taken at 90 degrees from the observer, and it's not. We have viewing angles on everything in the frame. This Milo guy will just never accept it. He wants to figure a way, and so does Sly, of keeping us 90 degrees adjacent to the observation. It's easy to do in CAD, not so easy in real life. And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do, but if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!